are back. This is live at the Center for Performing Arts at Rhinebeck. This is our February show. February, which can be cold and sleety and snowy and miserable, but you want to go to the theater anyway, because where else would you want to go on a cold, wintry night but to be warm, to buy plays? And what we are doing here at the Center, this particular late winter, early spring, there are all sorts of awards and accolades that are given out to American plays, and I think you probably know the most famous of them, the Tony Awards. And then you probably know something called the New York Drama Critics Award, and you probably know something called the Outer Circle Critics Award. And those are based on basically market-driven responses to the theater. The Tony Award is based on how many people actually saw the show. What were the ticket sales? What was the buzz? Was the critical response number one? The Drama Critics Award and the Outer Circle Awards are a little more intelligent and a little more discerning in that those awards are given away by the critics and journalists themselves. But again, drama critics only exist because newspapers have a vested interest in having theater successful, because then there are ads and ancillary revenues. Probably the purest award you can get in the United States is the Pulitzer Prize. And the Pulitzer Prize is given for all sorts of creative writing and journalism. And one of the hallmark awards is the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. So this particular late winter and early spring, we are doing a string of Pulitzer Prize winning plays. In the month of January, we have Our Town, followed by How I Learned to Drive by Paula Vogel, followed by Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, followed by Long Day's Journey into Night. And all of them are American plays, winners of the Pulitzer Prize. So I hope you come and experience this with us. All right, so the first play we're presenting, which opens on February 10, runs for one weekend only, February 10, 11, and 12, is Paula Vogel's How I Learned to Drive, directed by Tracy Carney. And this is an itchy play.
Yes.
You want to explain what I mean?
It's an unconventional love story.
Right?
It is told through a series of flashbacks and flash forwards, told from the memory of Lil Bit, who is the main character and the narrator. And it depicts her coming of age story with Uncle Peck, who is her teacher, her father figure, and her unconventional love interest.
Oh. And he is her uncle.
Yes.
So
By marriage.
By marriage.
Yes.
So not a blood relative.
Not a blood relative.
But according to the law,
Yes.
he still should not be having a romantic or sexual relationship with her.
Correct.
Correct. And she is, at the time of the flashback, what we're talking about, her reflection. How old is she at that time?
The first encounter or the first driving lesson is at age 11.
11 years old.
Yes.
Okay. And they begin a sexual affair at age 11?
Yes.
And it continues until she's how old?
18.
18. So a 7-year relationship. Mm-hmm. And playing a little bit is Alex Petrova.
Hello.
And you're not really 11.
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
I'll say 13. How's that? But you play yourself at varying ages, right?
Yes.
It's one actor playing
Yes.
the character as the character matures. Have you ever done a play like this?
Where I've played a child.
Somebody who's a victim of a sexual assault, basically?
No.
No, have not. Find anything disturbing, cumbersome, anything in your way?
It's an incredibly challenging part, and you have to find. I think she struggles, and I struggle right now too, to find, it's a tragic love story. She loves this person, and at some point realizes that's not okay.
Right.
So it's finding within the character that duality and that struggle of how is my love to this person okay and not okay, and how do I make sense of it all.
Mhm. And when you are reflecting back, how old are you in this play?
In present day, you mean?
Yes.
She's in her late 20s, early 30s.
Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
good time for her to have a mature
Yes.
reflection.
Yes.
All right, and sitting next to Alex is Chris Gilbert, who's been here in lots of productions since Time Out of Mind.
Forever, it seems.
Forever, since 1999 or 8, 98, because you were in Man of La Mancha, which
That's
was the
right.
second play we did here, ever. And you were in that.
Mancha.
Yeah. So Chris is playing Uncle Peck, who is the, we don't want to call him the villain of the piece, but you're certainly a prime mover of the action. And look at Chris. Chris is there. He's sitting there in a jacket and a tie. He's a good-looking guy. He looks like everybody's favorite uncle, which I think is the point of the play. Like,
Well-
you could have cast somebody who was humpbacked and gap-toothed
Sure.
and looked like Richard III, and I would believe that they were a child molester. But
I don't know that you'd want to call the character a child molester. I mean, I think that's left to the audience to discern, really. Or whether it's even a sexual relationship.
we don't know that?
We don't really know that. That's
Oh, I
something
thought
that's
it was
not-
pretty clear that it
Well,
was.
that's why I bring it up, because it's not necessarily a given that that's what's happening. Something is happening, and it's left to the audience to figure out what it is.
The depth of it is left to the audience.
Right, exactly. So I think it'll leave the audience puzzled and maybe with a different image of this whole subject. You know, because I think my character doesn't think he's doing anything wrong.
No, of course not.
Makes a point of not doing anything that's illegal. You know, he says that in a couple of different situations. So he cares about the legality of what he's up to. It's really that he's fallen in love with someone that is technically an inappropriate love interest, but not for him.
But he
So
can't help himself.
he has to navigate through that somehow and be true to his...
Is the character married to somebody else in
He
the
is,
play?
yeah.
He is. Uh-huh. And do you have children of your own in the play?
No.
You do not. All right, sitting next to Chris is Sarah Saw, and Sarah is playing one half or
One-third.
one third of the chorus. So this play is sort of set up in a Greek modality. There is a chorus of 3 people who reflect on the action. There's the young chorus member. There's an older chorus member,
There's
female.
the male, female, and she plays the teenage.
Is she supposed to be reflective of her character?
She is reflective in one scene.
Okay.
She actually speaks for Bit at age 11.
Mhm.
She does not speak the Bit part at that point, the teenage chorus.
So have you done a play like this? Anything quite as
This is
itchy, I said?
no, I think this is one of the first plays that I've done that's been so mature because this is only my second show here, and I came out of doing plays in high school, so a lot of those things were
Right, you wouldn't do this
softer.
in high school.
Yeah, no. But it's definitely been an interesting and challenging experience.
We did this play once before, many, many years ago, and we have a tradition. Tracy, 2 years ago, as part of a grant from E. Vensler, did the Vagina Monologues.
Mhm.
And then last year, you did Memory Monologue, Rant, and a Prayer, which was also
An E. Vensler
an E.
piece.
Vensler piece, and also under the foundation. This year, we don't have a foundation grant to do this play, but we decided to go ahead and do it. And we thought that this play thematically connected with the front two in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or
Yes,
form.
absolutely.
Do you think it's important to do this kind of play, or this play in particular?
Absolutely. And a lot of that has to do with how Vogel intended this play. And she was looking to show that there is a lot of gray area.
Mhm.
There's a lot of humanity. It's not about the villain and the victim all the time. It's not the yucky guy in the bushes who comes out to molest you or rape you. That often it is someone who is within your family, someone who has access to you, and that there's years of preparation or grooming. And
So define what you mean by that, years of grooming. Grooming like he grooming her
yes.
from an early age,
Yes, there is, even if you just look at it from age 11, she does not have a father. Therefore, he assumes kind of the fatherly role very cleverly, but also very authentically. He's not doing it and to be malicious or coercive. Eventually, it turns very manipulative. And the lessons he does teach her, whether it is driving lessons or life lessons, she actually turns the tables on. And she learns almost too well to his detriment.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a teacher and he teaches her a lot of things that she can use, a lot of life skills that she carries with her through her life.
Is this a case of chicken and egg? And what I mean by that is, do you think that his character set out to intentionally present himself as something so that he could achieve a goal, which is to have a sexual, we're not sure you say, but some romantic relationship with a minor? Or did it emerge out of his relationship as a nurturing father figure who then, oh, by the way?
I think it's clear in the script that he has a problem, that he is a damaged, flawed individual. Whether he set out...
He knows it's strong.
Yeah, he is damaged, and it is about the damage that damaged people do.
Okay.
Okay? I don't think he necessarily, at her birth, set out to molest her,
Right.
but it grew.
Hmm?
And he grew to be very fond of her, and he grew to fall in love with her, and that became such a strong connection between the two of them that it was natural for it to turn into
I see.
this.
Chris, there's a big 180 from Harold Hill in The Music Man.
Well, we're trying to paint a kinder, gentler sort of wash over pedophilia.
Well, actually, that kind of makes sense because you don't want to I don't think you want to present villainy as being so grotesque that we can't relate to it. I mean, it's true that Richard III says he smiles and smiles and murders while he smiles, so that there's a normalcy presented.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that the audience very well might find that if I do my job well, that this is a love story, and in fact, in the end, he sort of triumphs over whatever problems and difficulties he has. So see if they feel that way.
So, Sarah, the last thing you were in here was Safe,
Yes.
and you hadn't done anything here before that?
No.
No. And so you're straight out of high school? You did most of your work in high school?
Yes.
What kinds of things did you do?
We did Fiddler. We did a show called Rumors. Just a few other kind of more common.
What school did you go to?
I actually went to school in Long Island. I moved here about a little less than a year ago. I
What
guess.
school on Long Island?
It's called Cary High School.
Where's that?
In Franklin Square.
Okay. So
She
how
plays a
many?
very convincing grandma, by the way. You
She
wouldn't-
does.
So you are many people.
I am.
Yeah,
I
since
am.
she's the utility hitter, right?
Yes.
So how many? This is a cast of what? 6?
5.
5 people. Okay, so the 3 chorus members and the 2 of men.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Alex, what have you done before coming here?
Well, excuse me, I started in high school. I went to University of Connecticut, got my BFA there. Lived in the city for a while, did some theater there. The last thing I was in Monroe, Connecticut, Two Planks Theater Company, and it was the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
We know that. We've done that here. Did
And
you? Who directed that? You directed that. Marcus Greggio sitting out there, who's going to be on later. He directed that show. Was it for you, for Up in One? It was an Up in One production. Diana, who's also sitting out there, she'll be on it. And you, of course, have done lots of things.
Yes.
The last big thing you did, Steel Magnolias.
Mhm.
And you've done the February slot now. This will be the 3rd year in a row.
Yes. Mhm.
And you also did what else?
12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men.
The producers.
Joe was in that.
Mhm.
Producers, which was last summer. Then you did the Sunshine Boys.
Yep.
And what else? Something before that.
I was in Plaza Suite.
But you directed something before that, too.
She
She
Loves Me.
loves me. Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
All right, so this is How I Learned to Drive. One weekend only, February 10, 11, and 12. 4, because we're doing a doubleheader on
Right.
Saturday. Right, 4 performances. Tickets are $24, $22. We caution, because we've been asked to do this. This is a play for mature audiences. I would not bring your 10-year-old. Okay? So don't blame us if you do. I've told you not to. All right? I advise you not to bring your 10-year-old. It's written by Paula Vogel, directed by Tracy Carney. You know how to get to us, 845-876-3080. That's Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5. Saturday, 1 to 5. Always online, Center for Performing Arts.org. February 10 through 12. And we're going to work again with Grace Smith House. This will be our 3rd year. We're going to channel something to them.
All right, oh,
Yeah,
terrific,
yeah, yeah.
terrific.
I mean, I'm not asking them to do any work. I'm just
Yeah.
inviting them and saying that a portion of the proceeds will
That's super.
we'll give it. Grace Smith House, by the way, is our region's preeminent domestic violence shelter, advisory, counseling, advocacy. Not that they advocate for it, but they not only serve the victims of violence, but
Their
they
families.
also the families and the men or women who may be perpetrating the violence.
Yes.
So it's an all-in-one kind of service. Very sophisticated. We're happy to work with them. All right, so How I Learned to Drive, February 10 through 12. Any last remarks?
Please come.
Please,
You'll
definitely.
be glad you did.
We will. Alex, anything?
It's a great story. It's worth putting out there, so come and see it.
Right, theater can't be all singing, all dancing, all the time.
It's a story about redemption. That's what I think. And I think you'll agree.
About redemption.
It's
Okay.
also funny.
There are very few plays about redemption, but I kind of like the idea.
It is funny.
Yeah, a lot of hard work went into making the show what it is, and I think that it still has a long way to come, and I think that it's worth seeing the end result.
Cool. Great. So, again, How I Learned to Drive, February 10 through 12, 845-876-3080. A Pulitzer Prize winning play. It'll be the second in our series. The first is the play that is running as this show is airing, which is Thornton Wilder's, I'm going to say masterpiece, Our Town. Masterpiece from a lot of points of view, right? Its script and its presentation. Very innovative theater piece. All right, so we'll be right back. And we are back. So I want to thank the director, Tracy Carney, Chris Gilbert, Alex Petrova, Sarah Sa, who will be performing in How I Learned to Drive, February 10 through 12. And immediately after that show closes, we come up with another Pulitzer Prize winning play, Tennessee Williams' Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Woohoo! Cat on
Whoa.
a Hot Tin Roof.
Yes, you betcha. Could you lead it again? Do it again.
Woohoo!
Right, and this is the director of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, sitting to my left, the sedate and should be sedated Marcus D. Greggio, the director, Diana DeGrande, who's playing Big Mama, George Allen, and now you're playing an amalgam of people, right? You're the doctor and the reverend,
The doctor and the reverend.
and what character name have we assigned to him?
Reverend Tucker.
So he's Reverend Tucker, okay. And then Alina Gonzalez, who's playing Maggie the cat. And sitting next to Alina is Joe Felice, who's playing Big Daddy. So I think probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I think most of you have heard of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. It's one of the more produced Williams plays, a very successful film, starring Burl Ives and Elizabeth Taylor and Paul Newman and Jack Carson and Madeline Sherwood. And who played Big Mama in the movie? Do we remember?
Judith
Anderson.
It was Judith Anderson. Thank you so much. And we don't know who the kids were. The kids were in the show, in the movie, but you don't have the kids in the play.
That's correct.
All right. We did this show once before. You produced it, I directed it. But we did the original version, and you are now doing the
Revised version.
1994?
Um,
74?
yes.
Which one? 74.
Earlier.
74.
Yes.
The 74 revised version.
Revised.
And the difference between the two is?
So Williams wrote a wonderful play called Cat on a Hot Tin Roof,
Right.
which basically was a tragedy.
Mhm.
And Kazan, the director,
Elia
Kazan, from the group, Harold Clerman's great achievement, came along, a big director after coming off of On the Waterfront,
Right.
big movie, and Williams basically had Glass Menagerie, which did extremely well. He did Street Court Named Desire. Then he had 3 plays, 2 of which didn't do so well, one of which did okay, which was The Rose Tattoo. And then with Cat and Hot Tin Roof, he really needed it to be a big hit.
And he did get a big hit.
Yes, so he hired Kazan, and Kazan said, I'd really like you to change the script because it's depressing and it's a tragedy, and I want something that has more hope at the end and a little bit more love. And so Williams said, okay, I'll have to trust you because I need the show. So he made the changes, huge hit, award-winning play, and then when the movie came along, Poe, an adapter, rewrote it again without Williams, which then it was the biggest hit, really, of Williams' life.
When was the film?
58? 1958, as I recall.
So that's the original script.
No,
That's the revised script.
no. It's a completely different script.
Based on what, though? Based on the
Based
original?
on the revised Kazan, based on the Broadway Kazan
Okay.
influenced script. This is a long story. I
Well,
apologize.
but I think it's important to note that one of the things about Tennessee Williams is that through his own design or for other reasons, because so much of his work translated over into film, and after he would do a play that had been filmed, he might go back and seek to have a production of the play again. He was famous for rewriting and reordering a lot of his scenes. In fact, we've done Glass Menagerie 2 or 3 times here, and you will see a published version of Glass that actually came out before Glass opened, and then you'll see a published version that came out after it opened, and then you'll see another one that is included in the works of. And the 3 of them are appreciably different in the ordering of the scenes, particularly in the front of the play. Monologues are gone, monologues are added, dialogue is reversed. So he was constantly redoing his work. And he's retitled some of his plays.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Summer and Smoke is Eccentricities of a Nightingale, right? Yeah.
I think so, right?
Yeah, right. Orpheus Descending and Fugitive Kind are basically the same play.
Pretty
right?
much.
Yeah.
They are very, very close.
Yeah. All right, so this is Diana DeGrande, who usually produces work, but more and more, Diana has been working with Center Stage. She just finished directing the big hit, A Christmas Carol, I'm happy to say. And before that, you were the nurse in Romeo and Juliet.
Well, I directed one yesterday.
And you direct, but that was for your own company.
Right.
Yeah. So now she's back as an actor for Center Stage.
Yes.
And you are also directing our Taming of the Shrew
Yes.
with a script adapted by Marcus Greggio. So you've never done Big Mama before, right?
No.
So having produced the show and now being in the show, how do you feel?
Well, it's totally different. Marcus has a different approach, obviously, than you when you
Right.
directed it.
Which is what? A different approach?
Well,
I grooved into what you call, but I grooved into what you call the tragedy of the play.
Yes.
And the thing that I was most taken by is I played the real time of the play. I was very, very interested in the idea that it started at 8, it had an intermission, and I remember what we did, because Joey was my big daddy at that time. We broke in the middle of that big monologue about your trip to Europe. We blacked out on him, and then when we opened the second act, in the dark, you repeated 4 or 5 lines that you had already spoken. The lights came back up, so we had this total continuation of action. So this is different.
well, yeah, because he's a different person,
Right.
so he's going to have a different approach. And I'm working with some wonderful people.
Right?
So George and Joe, and first time we're working with Elena, and of course our brick
Not here.
is not here.
Bill Ross.
Bill Ross.
The great
And
Bill
he's
Ross.
And then
fabulous.
Emily Depew,
Emily
Emily,
who was
Depew.
playing May.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
That's the cast,
And
right?
Joe.
And
Joe.
Joe.
Joe Ariol, who's playing Goober.
Yes.
Right, so it's a small cast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's correct.
And the kids are gone.
That's correct.
And you've made one character, 2 characters, and now 1 character.
Yes, sir.
So George, you've done a bazillion and a half things here now in the last 3 or 4 years, right?
Last 3 years, 2
3
years.
Yes. Was your first show Othello?
It was Othello, yes.
Your first show. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and Marcus, of course, was a great Othello.
And
Thank you.
great Othello. And
experience.
I was in Sunset Boulevard last fall
Right?
and played Cecil B. DeMille, which was a lot of fun.
Right?
And in Rip, where I was a farmer and
Right?
it
Sweeney
goes
Todd.
to
You were in
Henry
Sweeney Todd.
Hudson, and then I was in Sweeney Todd.
Right?
Yep.
And Alina, you've also done like a bazillion and a half things in a very short period of time.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
You were just in Steel Magnolias,
Yep, and that was in June.
Right.
And before that, I did You Can't Take It With You.
Right.
So that's for this year. But my first show here was Sunshine Boys with Tracy.
right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then you did Gina's new play,
Yep.
Dark Echoes.
Echoes. And I did last year's Christmas show, Miracle on 34th
Miracle on
Street.
34th Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel playing Maggie?
You know, this was like it sounds so cheesy, but it's been like a dream role because years ago when I was taking classes down at Stella Adler, we studied Tennessee Williams, and it was something that we had studied for a long period of time, and I just feel like there's so many layers to Maggie that it's just she's such a meaty character, and it's just so exciting. The work is so interesting, and it's been so much fun.
His women are great. Williams' women are absolutely great. Would I be far off the mark if I said he wrote the better women's roles in American theater?
No, I say that's correct. Yeah.
Right?
That's
Laura
right.
and Amanda, Blanche and Stella,
Yeah.
Alma, Maggie,
Yeah, that's true.
Big Mama,
Yep.
lots and lots and lots of good roles. And then Joe. Well, Joe, we were trying. You wrote me a Facebook thing that we were friends on Facebook for the last 8 years. But then did you get my note back to you?
16.
Yeah, we actually know each other 17 now because I was still thinking I was in 2016. Your first play was 99 here or 2000?
I don't know the date.
Of Mice and Men.
Mice and Men, yeah.
Was that our first or second year we were in operation?
I don't know. I never saw the tent, so this edifice was here when I did that.
Yeah, Joe doesn't always sound like that, by the way.
No, this is my method.
This is never was.
Since I'm terminally ill, I went and contracted something.
He's not really terminally ill.
Hopefully
His
I will
character is terminally ill.
Hopefully, I will make it to the end of this.
Well, when you say hopeful, because in the version that I did, and again, Williams has several versions. He overhears what's said. He's not overhearing what's said. He shoots himself. He doesn't shoot himself. He comes back in the room. He doesn't come back in the room. How are you doing the end with him? If you don't mind giving it away.
I tell you, but
You don't want to give it away.
no.
All right. All right. So, Joe, this is the second time you've done this now.
Yep,
Did the lines come back to you? You got a lot to say.
different lines.
They're different lines?
There are some different lines, yeah,
Different scripts.
and different the blocking, the way that the scene is set up. So some of the lines I remembered, they were the same, but a lot of the stuff is slightly changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should add really quickly, just the end of that tale. When Williams revised the text, he basically took ideas from his script that he wrote and Kazan's ideas, and then he went through and wanted to insert a few other ideas. So there's a lot of changes in the script, and most people, most of the commentators that I've read, they basically make the comment that it's the greatest combination of the two works.
Well, which kind of points up the collaborative art. I mean, frequently when you're doing a play, particularly if it's a new play, and you have the luxury of the playwright sitting there in the audience as you're rehearsing, and you have a good director, frequently you'll find that the script gets rewritten on the spot. It could be the wellspring of the actor saying, you know what, I don't think I would say this. Or the playwright might say, you know, I'm watching what you're doing, and it really doesn't work for me like that. Maybe it should be, and that's great. I mean, that's truly what the theater should be. All right, so this is Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, huh?
We do that.
You do?
We did it just the other night.
Yeah.
Well, you
There
rewrote
was-
it on the
there was
spot?
some stuff in
Yeah.
there, you know, I
We
told
did
Mark,
right.
says,
We cut a lot.
I don't know that I would say that, and why would I say it? And we discussed what that was, and decided, well, okay, we'll move that out, or we'll change this, so we kind of,
We're having a similar discussion in our rehearsals for Long Day's Journey, but we have all sort of made the commitment that we're not going to change a line. That we're going to, if we don't know why it makes sense to us, we're going to try to figure out how it can make sense to us. We're kind of approaching it like it's the Book of St. Because it is such a brilliant play.
And
And
then-
we really can't fool around.
In lots of ways, I
Long Day's
actually
Journey.
really agree with that, and I've never taken a modern play and made the alterations that we've done in this, but I think the precedent is already there,
Yeah, right, he did it himself.
so
Yeah.
I felt comfortable in.
Like, you didn't fool around very much in Angels in America.
Oh, not at all.
You didn't do anything in Angels.
I
We all
I
said
don't
what
do
was
things
written.
like that.
Huh?
I don't do things like that.
No, we didn't change any of it.
No.
Didn't change any of that. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this opens on February 17, and it runs to February the 26th. Do we think this is for mature audience as well? There are a
Yes.
few linguistic things that we
Yes.
have to be wary of.
One,
So-
yeah,
yes.
one of the things that Williams really wanted to do was put in some language that
Right.
he was made to take out. So there's some stronger
Right.
language in this revised.
There's some swear words, ladies and gentlemen, that you wouldn't want the youngsters to hear. And in the version that we presented, those had been extracted from the script, so we did not have to worry about it. I think the worst thing you ever said was "God damn," maybe, don't you? Yeah. But now it's saltier than that.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Yeah, so I would not bring your 10-year-old to this show. This is, again, February 17 to 26. You know how to get in touch with us, 845-876-3080. And that's Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, Saturday 1 to 5. Always online, centerforperformingarts.org. And I can't stress enough, last year we started this idea of trying to achieve an identity. And I'm going through this a lot with some other people. The great resident theaters in the country have as missions particular artistic goals. Actors Theater of Louisville is about the actors process in collaboration with a playwright or a director. Roundabout Theater's mission seems to be to take contemporary actors, American actors, directors, and designers, and place them in sacred scripts that are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, with an occasional new play. So everybody has a mission, and we haven't really had a mission here at the center. If you look at our plays, it will be, an English musical, followed by an American comedy, followed by a British tragedy, followed by a French farce, and there's no unification. So last year we decided that we were going to stick to the best of the American canon, Americana. And we refined that down to doing Pulitzer Prize. So that's why we have these 4 plays in a row: Our Town, How I Learned to Drive, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and Long Day's Journey. So again, this is February 17 to 26. Look for Diana in the future, not only as Big Mama, but also directing The Taming of the Shrew, a new adaptation, Marcus Greggio. George Allen after Cat. What do you think you'll be doing? Are you auditioning for
Oh, I'm
Shrew?
auditioning for Shrew.
So you'll be there tomorrow?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference to you. You don't know what tomorrow means because we're in a time warp here. Alina, what's up for you?
I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out.
No clue?
No.
Just sing, Alina.
That's a work in progress.
Yeah, because we're following up Shrew. But, another thing we're doing, our Globe stage is being refurbished under a very nice grant from Arts Mid-Hudson, and we're opening up with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, followed by The Taming of the Shrew, followed by Kiss Me, Kate. So we got some nice classical and American riffs on the classical. What's happening for you?
I hope to be well.
Yeah, you sound awful.
Other than that, I don't know.
How long you been like this?
Just last couple of
Yeah,
days.
it's going around.
Oh,
Yeah, it's going around. Everything's going around. I don't know what it is.
It's the middle of winter.
The days, it's the apocalypse. It's the end of days, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that's our show for the month of February. Advise you once again, How I Learned to Drive, February 10 through 12. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, February 17 to the 26th. And thanks to my guests in this segment, Marcus Greggio, director, playwright, adapter, producer, scholar extraordinaire. Actor extraordinaire. Diana DeGrande, producer, director, actor. What else you did?
I write.
You write. She wrote. Oh, you wrote. Not Miracle. You wrote. you did the adaptation of It's a Wonderful Life,
Yes.
which will be back this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, back this year. George, what do you do instead of acting? Do you do anything else?
I'm a part-time librarian.
A librarian.
I'm a librarian.
I read a lot.
You read a lot. I know you read a lot. He's a voracious reader. Alina, what's up with you? What do you do other than this?
I work in sales.
Sales.
Yes.
You won't tell us for whom.
No.
All right, she can't. She works for the devil. Joe, who's retired from IBM, but has recently joined our board of directors as the chair of the education committee. Are you in one of the touring shows?
No.
Yeah.
No, I was in Scarlet Letter.
You
but
were in
that-
Scarlet Letter, but we never really did it. And you were in the Poe, and that really never
Yep.
went off anywhere.
Luke, just, we're gonna go in one moment, but I would just love to give you just extra accolades and more credit. You've indicated it more than once, but I think for the audience out there, it's really important to recognize that if you look at the top 10, maybe, great modern American dramas, there's a trio of them in
Three
the
of
next
them are
month and a
infamous.
half.
Yeah.
Wilder, Our Town, I think is in the top 10.
Right.
Cat in the Hot Tin Roof,
Yeah.
top 10.
Absolutely.
Long Day's Journey, top 10. Three of the greatest American modern dramas are in this next month and a half.
Where do you place Long Journey? If you and I hate these questions, but I'm curious to know if there were a number one slot or a number two
The
slot,
number one slot has to go to Arthur Miller.
and that would be Death of a
Death of
Salesman.
a Salesman, I think it has to be.
Yeah,
don't know-
I would agree with you.
I think that's the greatest
Yeah, I would
modern
agree with you.
American play ever.
And because it is so clearly almost Aristotelian in its
It is.
construct, tragedy.
And
It fits all the rules.
It absolutely does, and it's such core
Yeah.
American,
Yeah.
about the American dream.
We watched a great documentary, Donna and the cast of Long Day, about O'Neill, and my appreciation and admiration for him just grew because I am in the Williams camp, not the O'Neill camp. I happen to appreciate Streetcar and Glass more than I appreciate just about anything else. But we saw this documentary and the angst that he went through. He was in failing health, things were happening to him, and he scribbled, and I mean it because if you look at, he wrote it in longhand, and his writing as his illnesses progressed became smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And there are legal-sized pieces of paper with writing you can't even decipher. But in a very brief period of time, he wrote probably his three greatest plays: Long Day's Journey into Night, Moon for the Misbegotten, The Iceman Cometh, and then he snuck into there the one-act Huey.
Yeah.
And he died, and he put it in his will that none of these plays were to be produced. And Una, his wife, his widow, around 1954, 1955, dragged them all out and convinced somebody that they had to be done. And that's why we have them.
That's incredible.
It's an incredible story.
I latched on to O'Neill long before I latched on to Williams in terms of love of the work.
Really?
Yeah, I was, when I graduated high school, I did a whole group of musicals, but the play that I did year one in college was O'Neill's only comedy, Wilderness.
Yeah.
And then as a very early director, I directed Huey.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, so I have a great love of O'Neill. Elms, I really love more than any of his other plays.
Yeah.
Desire Under the Elms, but O'Neill's incredible.
I'm becoming more and more enamored of him, I must say. All right, enough of that chat. If you really want to have a serious intellectual discussion with any one of us, you should drop in here sometime at a rehearsal. And maybe at some point in time, we'll actually invite you to some rehearsals. I think it would prove to be an enlightening experience. I think a lot of people just think that plays are like clean socks. They just grow in the drawer because somebody washes them for you. Plays are not like clean socks growing in the drawer. It takes a lot of work. All right, thank you. That's our show, and see you next month.